Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So I got some information this week that I thought would be, well, worthy of making a video. I know this is not related to the new Harley-Davidson CVO. You know, I've seen a bunch of videos about that. On the record, I like it. It's great, but I'll make another video about that in the future. What I wanted to talk about today is, looks like the EPA has possibly gotten to aftermarket motorcycle companies. I caught wind of this earlier this week. Now, I did reach out for comment and have not received any word back. So all I could do is go off of what I could find on the internet, and again from a trusted source. And that is that it looks like the EPA has gotten into a couple of our parts suppliers with the aftermarket exhausts. The names that were dropped to me was Reinhardt, which I have on this bike here. This is a 2018 Heritage 114. I've got the Reinhardt header 2-in-1 exhaust system combined with the DynoJet Power Vision, Target Tune, the wideband O2s. You know, it's a really nice setup, and it's of course dramatically impacted how this bike runs. And then the other manufacturer that I've heard had similar issues was or is Vance and Hines. Now those are two big names, and I was very interested to see what the impact on their product line was. The long and short of it is that the pipes are now going to be sold with catalyst installed in the pipes. Now, for anybody out there who's super environmentalist, I'm assuming that most of my viewers are not, but just out of respect to those that are, understand that I am not completely anti all EPA stuff. I understand the overall initiative, but I will say coming after motorcycles is even smaller of a niche than the racing scene, and I know the racing scene has kind of fallen into a lot of EPA fines, aftermarket tuners, things like that. The diesel guys have gotten hit hard, and it's just really frustrating to watch this happen, because I personally think we're in this wave of vehicles being neutered for the sake of environmental protection, and I don't necessarily know how much I agree with that being a target for the EPA. It just seems to me like it's bureaucracy gone wild, and I'm not a big fan of it. You know, alright, look, if you want to talk about new motorcycles and requiring certain thresholds to be met for, you know, new manufacturing, that's really where we're heading towards that whole conversation about Harley-Davidson, the air-cooled motor versus liquid-cooled, all of those kinds of things about what it's going to do for the future of motorcycles in general. But going after the aftermarket and the tuners and, you know, those kinds of people just does not seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. This motorcycle, it's gotten 39 miles per gallon. I don't think that regardless of catalytic converter or not on something that's getting 39 miles per gallon, does not seem like, I don't think there's any reason to even take a bite of that apple. That's kind of my take on a lot of this EPA stuff is, if it makes sense, fine, but if you're coming after a small niche market like motorcycles, which it very much is, it's really weak. So let's jump back into the studio, because I want to show you what I have, I guess, come across in my research of what's going on here, and the information is limited, but let's get back to the studio and I'll show you guys what it is I'm talking about. Let's talk about why I believe what I've heard is true, that the EPA likely got to Reinhardt, Vance and Hines, probably others as well, and made a maybe strong suggestion that they change product offerings. It really comes down to just looking at what the website has to offer. So what I'm going to do is show you guys full systems with Reinhardt. The information I received is that the pipes that I have on my bike are no longer available. I actually had people on my comments asking where to find the pipe, and that's kind of what triggered some of this. Previously, if you came on to the full systems for Harley-Davidson, you would see a 2-in-1 exhaust for Harley Touring. But if you looked at the website, I used Wayback Machine to pull this up, which is a way to go back to historical website data. You can see that they actually had a 2-in-1 exhaust for the Harley M8 Softail, which is what is on my bike. That's no longer on the website at all. So the other thing is, now if we look up part numbers for the same exhaust that's on my bike, and we pull up, let's see here, Dennis Kirk, they have one on hand. Whoever's watching this video who's looking for the remaining pipes, first come, first serve, it may not even be there by the time this video airs. And then if you go to Fuel Moto, they have page not found, which tells you that it's probably not available anymore. You have to pretty much go to the big name sites because smaller sites may not reflect actual real inventory numbers. Revzilla, out of stock, everything's out of stock for black or chrome. So Revzilla has none available, and it doesn't appear on their website anymore. Now, and sure, you could look at that and say, well, maybe that's just a sign of, you know, inventory shortages, things like that. But look at these prices for these other 2-into-1 exhausts. $13.89 for a 2-into-1 for the Harley Touring, whereas if I go back to Wayback Machine for the Harley Touring 2-into-1 exhaust was $9.89. So what is the price difference? I think the price difference is right here. This system is catalyst equipped and designed to be 49 state emissions compliant. Pursuant to Clean Air Act, this exhaust will not adversely affect emissions not legal for sale in California on any pollution controlled motor vehicle. And my guess is probably because that is a new pipe that is not gone through the California EPA testing, if it's going to go through California EPA testing to begin with. The way I understand it is that California emissions has a product certification, which is where a lot of the Harley-Davidson or really just any automotive leaks tend to come from, is a lot of that California EPA thing. Products kind of show up there before they're actually launched, mainly because they're trying to be available in California the day of product launch. So I've noticed that over time. Now, I've not received any sort of feedback from Reinhardt. I did reach out for comment. It's possible that they just don't want to talk about it. I don't blame them. It's a real bummer that this is kind of the way things are going. Again, I think motorcycles is just something that is an unreasonable target for how niche the market really is. Now with Vance & Hines, the problem with the Wayback Machine, going back to see what the product used to say versus what it says now, is it doesn't always work depending on how the websites are formatted. And Vance & Hines, I could not pull up a historic version of what they had there. But again, we'll do the same thing. I'll just pull up my bike here. So pulling up exhausts for the Heritage, I'll just pull up probably, I don't know, we'll say Pro Pipe is probably a common one. Here we go again. High flow catalyst cartridge designed to increase torque. So Vance & Hines is kind of using some marketing here to say that it's got catalyst cartridge, but it's designed to increase torque. And you know, it's obvious that, again, disclaimer, 49 state emissions compliant exhaust system, not legal for use in California. Again, probably due to that California EPA requiring different things than the, you know, federal EPA. We also have an indication here like twin/slip-ons, instructions, images, where to buy, contact your dealer for purchase. It's saying that it's for closed course competition only. But if I want to buy the short shots, I can add it to my cart and buy it directly. So it looks like anything that does not have catalytic converter as a part of that pipe, then it's no longer for sale to the general public. And the reason why I picked out my Heritage is because I'm familiar with the fact that the catalytic converter is in the slip-ons itself. So that's easy to identify where it would be added or removed. I'm not super familiar with the touring bike setup. But based on the information I received, it looks like it's pretty valid that we have seen some of our motorcycle supplier big names get impacted by the EPA. Hopefully at some point there's some context provided directly from either the EPA. These companies, I don't expect necessarily getting a response. They may just alter their product line and focus on continuing their business. But it does appear that these pipes are all probably going to cost a few $100s more for having catalytic converters, catalyst installed in those pipes in order to meet EPA regulation. And it's just kind of a bummer. I have a lot of concern about what this means for the future of skilled trades. It's more impactful than just, I don't like loud things. So, you know, or under the veil of environmental activity,
so let's get rid of it. And the impacts that has to other things is undeniable. Unfortunately, people in a position of power are not thinking of the whole picture. They tend to think about their one little tiny purview, which if you're in the EPA, it's environmental, and it's not, you know, a larger view of the impacts of the decisions that they're making, and actions have consequences. So unfortunately, I think in 20 years from now, we already have a lack of skilled trades. And the more the government comes after all of these niche markets where people like myself and younger people come up through these trades, you know, wrenching on things, picking up tools and utilizing their hands, their creativity, it all goes into the things that you need. Your air conditioning goes out, your fridge breaks at your house, the stove goes out, all of these things that happen that you need a response for, a roof, siding, all of those kinds of things. Those people who are doing those kinds of trades are people who are wrenching in their garage on the weekends, learning all of this stuff from young teens on through adulthood and making full-blown careers of things that you probably don't want to be doing. So I think it just has massive ramifications. Boil it back down to just the state of EPA going after these two brands that I was told that they are going after. I'm assuming it's a much larger, you know, scope that they have. It just sucks, and I'm bummed about it. So I wanted to come out here, share that with you guys, and it looks like, based on what I can see, that it seems to be the truth, and it sucks. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. See you guys next time.